Ladies and gentlemen, we all encounter individuals in our day-to-day lives that do things slightly or extremely better than we do. The problem with those individuals is that they oftentimes share the same space that we are interested in. For example, you might have a friend that constantly scores 2 to 3 points higher than you on exams. It's infuriating. They might even try less than you do. Maybe it's in a sport. Maybe it's in another activity. And in chess, for me, there are certain grandmasters who just play a little bit better than me all the time. And it makes playing against them on chess.com borderline impossible. Like, I lose to them almost all the games that we play. And so for this video, I have dedicated an entire video to an individual by the name of Luis Paulo Supi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He is a Brazilian grandmaster, and he is extremely good at chess. This is his chess.com profile. My rating record, actually not rating against this individual, is 2-11. I have one of the worst records against anybody I have ever played on chess.com against Luis Paulo Supi. So the Brazilian audience, this video is really dedicated to you. He also does have a YouTube channel. I believe he streams in Portuguese. And we are going to look at most of the games that Supi and I have played against each other. I'm going to kind of take you through the story of this rivalry, and by rivalry, I mean he basically destroys me every single time that we play. My reaction anytime I'm paired against him on stream is extremely negative, and I'm always extremely sad. So, this journey begins with the very first Blitz game we have ever played against one another, Supi is an extremely strong attacking player. So he's beaten Magnus Carlsen. He was in my video when he sacrificed his queen against Magnus, and he plays the Tal variation of the Caro-Kann. This is one of the most aggressive ways to play, with the intention of trying to trap the bishop with g4, h5, and f3. I played a sideline against Supi the first time we played. I played the move queen to c8, and he played the best move, which is attacking my center, now that my queen no longer defends the center of the board. And we got a relatively normal-looking position early on. Those of you that watch consistent content on this channel will know that recently I made a video where I played against the cheater, and I played the move h5, and I got destroyed. And back then, I also played the move h5. It's really funny. This move h5 is really bad. In my game where the cheater was banned, they played knight f3, and then they played like bishop d3, knight e4, knight g5, and then I ended up just getting destroyed. So this is just not a good move, and I haven't really learned my lesson. Supi doesn't play knight f3, he does it this way, and he basically goes after my bishop, and he puts his bishop on g5 instead, which is also completely reasonable. I'm just basically selecting the completely wrong approach here, but watch how fast he makes me pay. So my logic here was I'm going to trade knights, we're going to get this position, going to develop this knight to d5, and I'll be fine. He allows me to take on g3. Like, what? Why would he do that? That's so bad for his structure. Bishop b4, castles, knight d7. And then here, instead of playing bishop d3 here, he moves his knight backwards. And the point is that he is going to go after my bishop, and I have nowhere to put my bishop. So if, for example, I bring my bishop to e4, he will play queen b3, hitting my bishop here. Then he will sacrifice on e6, and because my king is stuck in the middle of the board, I simply die. And so what I did in the game is I tried to remove his bishop from existence before he would be able to attack me. After takes, you would think in this position that he would play rook takes c4, but he did not do that. Supi played the very cool, calm, and collected queen d3. He doesn't even take the knight back. And I resign. Yeah, why did I resign? I cannot move my king. My king is completely stuck in the middle of the board, and I have no way to defend g6. I mean, I can play the move rook h6, but then he will just take, then he will take, then he will take, and then he will, take, and then take, and then take, and then just take everything. Queen d3 and the game is over. I have absolutely no way of stopping my king from getting hunted. Queen g6, king d7, queen f7, and I'm just simply mated. So my very first time playing Supi, my favorite opening was absolutely vanquished off the face of the earth. This is a game that I didn't even remember. When I went through our games against each other, I was like, oh my god, he completely killed me. I don't even remember this game. And that was just the beginning. In our second Blitz game ever against one another, and like I always say, Supi is better than me, and one of the reasons why I think I struggle against him so much, he's extremely fast, and he's much better at, he's like just enough better at tactics than I am to play faster and more accurately more often. So my openings, I always get a decent position against him in the opening. My openings are GM level. The problem is my middle game and end game is not GM level. And our second game against each other, I played a 4 pawns attack, and he played kind of a sideline, and I got, I got a decent position, right? Like I had a nice position from the opening. He played the move C5, and I had a better understanding of the opening position than him. This is a King's Indian defense where Black has played E5 and C5, which means that his play on the center is sort of dead. He has to play the move F5 at some point, and he's looking to play Knight D6. Now, I have the better position from the opening, but will I be able to outplay him over the course of a 6-minute game, right? We both have 3 minutes. So I play Bishop G5. The idea here is to make him move his F-pawn to further congest his position. Now I will drop back, and he plays Knight D6. At this point, I begin with operations on the queen side, probably. I want to prevent his knight from coming to B4. He plays the move B6, enabling the movement of his knight, bishop d7, and I go to trade his bishop on h6. I'm doing this so I can remove one layer of defense from his king. The problem is this is not really a great plan, because if you think about it, my bishop is far superior to his. And I should actually just be playing rook e1. I should maybe be creating an attack or anticipating f5. So I kind of go with the wrong plan. And his position is now very solid. Now I'm still better. I'm still better because I have more central space. None of his pieces can really move. And the only break in the position is the move f5. If I play the move rook e1, he will never successfully play the move f5, which will basically render his position absolutely bad. So what do I do at this point, right? It's time for me to convert. I begin moving forward. And immediately my advantage is gone. So he plays one retreating move, and I just can't help myself, and I begin moving forward, and he comes right back and attacks my pawn. I try to kick it. I'm trying to make some progress, right? He plays the move a6. I play the move a5. Look at that. I think I'm so clever, right? And the idea here is that, he takes, I'm going to take. If he takes this way, I might take this, but I might also shove my pawn in there and then try to defend it, right? So he plays ab5, ab6. And he hits me with this move, knight a8. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, well, I thought my pawn, right, if I try to hang on to my pawn with the move rook a6, he'll play b4, rook b8, he's just going to win my pawn. So I have to make a split-second decision here. What do? I trade like this, and I play queen e3, and I'm thinking, okay, well, the queen side's locked up, rook a6 doesn't really do anything, right? So I'm going to play knight h4, queen g3, knight f5. I'm going to create an attack on this side of the board. And how quickly here Supi just completely turns this around is incredible. All right? First he plays queen c7. Then he shoves forward the c-pawn, and he infiltrates into my position and cuts my attack immediately with the move queen c5. I now no longer have my most powerful piece, as we are forced to make some trades here. He proceeds to win my b-pawn, one of my 2 passed pawns that was blockaded by his position. Look at this blockade. He has the 2 knights, the rook and the pawn, and he just rolls forward. The f-rook, which made a defensive move several moves ago, now suddenly jumps into the attack, and the pawn is coming. And here, just to avoid any nonsense, he just brings his king over to make sure he has further defense of his position. Not to mention, I don't have a lot of time on the clock because he's much faster than me. And now, it's not the pawn on this side that's going to kill me. He actually successfully plays the move f5. I've been trying to kind of prevent this move for 37 moves. Well, on move 37, he is able to play it, and he just bulldozes he won all my pawns. He won all my pawns, and the game ends with a flashy move. Rook takes bishop, king takes, knight e3, he'll take this, and then he'll promote. Rook takes f1 on move 45, and I resign. So, these are the 2 ways that Supi constantly beats me. He either completely destroys me, or he is able to defend the position long enough that I misplay it, and then he completely overtakes, and he beats me anyway, right? So it's 0-2. So for this third game, this is where I started gaining some hope. You'll notice that our ratings are very, very close. This is the closest I've ever been to him in rating. 80 points, that's really good. This game, I played this. So I did not play queen c8, I played h6. I had been studying this variation, And we got a crazy, crazy line. This is actually all theory. You don't really need to worry about this, but it's an insane position. So for another game in a row, I was able to outplay him in the opening. So I got a decent position from the opening, and I'm better. But what Supi does in this game is absolutely mind-boggling. So he plays knight e5, right? And he's just building up some pieces. He's got his queen, knight, bishop, rook, but I'm better. It's -2 on move 15. How am I going to play this position for a win? Well, queen f6 here is actually the best move. I don't find it. I'm trying to make some trades. So I trade off his knight, and I throw in knight f3 check so that his pawns can't take my knight, and I'm just better. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a pawn up. But how do I make progress? Both his rooks are in the game. He's got very, very annoying pressure on my position. And on the one hand, if I try to castle queenside, I can't. I move my king. Instant replay. Instant replay. My king has moved. So I cannot castle, right? So I'm stranded in the center of the board. So what do? I give him my g-pawn, and I was thinking to kick him out and then win his h4 pawn, right? But I decide that I'm going to do it like this. My king is completely safe on f7. Let's trade rooks and let's outplay him. Here he plays an insane move. Rook g5. This is what I mean by his tactical skills are just absolutely unbelievable. The second I move my king and queen on the same line, even though there's 2 more pieces between us, he threatens to win my queen. And the craziest thing is he just left the position, but he has the state of mind to come back and then continue to shove forward. I play e5 right here. He plays rook g3, sacrificing this once again to try to play hg5 and g6. I play rook e8, and here Supi plays one of the most disgusting moves I've ever seen in my life. He plays the move knight e4. That is, it's not even the best move. The best move is actually to sack the knight so that the queen can get in. You see, while I'm stuck here in this little corner, defending my king with this bunker of pieces, his queen will infiltrate on the other side of the board, hitting everything. And he plays it in a different way. He tries to get in like this, and just does some absolutely savage stuff to me. Queen b4, takes b7. I'm surrounded on all sides of the board. Look at this. This is complete madness. I mean, this man is unbelievable at chess. I play knight b6, rook g7 again, sacrificing his rook. Takes. How am I not made it? I have to sack my queen, and it looks like I still have some counterplay. Now, from this point forward, complete chaos breaks loose. We have very little time, and he doesn't convert this game accurately as my king is able to get away to a6, and he still has his f-pawn, but I'm also creating problems for him on the back rank. And again, he doesn't have a lot of time. So even though he's completely winning, because he doesn't have a lot of time, I'm able to rattle off a couple of absurd moves here. And we have a massive scramble. I survive for as long as possible. And I'm just checking him. We're shuffling. I mean, again, like I said, we have less than 10 seconds. And I win on time. I win on time. Not my proudest game. I'm down 8 points of material, and I'm about to be down even more. I'm about to be down, 18 points of material. But I won on time, all right? I survived long enough for the insane tactical onslaught that he brought this game. I have one win. Now, I still don't have a deserved victory. So one of the next games we played, I got one of my most fun variations that I like to play in the Trempowski. This is in my d4 Dynamite course. Very aggressive line where white sacrifices a pawn but gets very good development. So another game where early on I've got a good position against Supi, right? I mean, here it's plus 1.5 in the opening. So my opening is good. I defend my king. I get my knight in, and I just have a nice position. I mean, his position is quite blockaded. I have long-term pressure on this H-file, very huge dark square weaknesses, difficulty of developing the bishop. I'm feeling good about myself, right? I play knight e4, I play bishop h4, I'm not letting him castle. He plays the move knight e5, and in this position, I think I can just win with knight f6, which is kind of hilarious. I can just fork him. I don't exactly know what I missed here. I guess it was just the congestion of the pieces. Oh, I missed the move bishop g3, which hits his knight, and if it moves, there's this. And if he takes my knight, it's kind of the same problem. So I missed this little tactic, but it doesn't matter because I still have I have an amazing position. Knight f6, king d8. I mean, his king is stuck in the middle of the board. And if you do the tactics here, right, I'm going to check him. So I'm going to win his queen. He's going to win my queen, but I'm going to win his rook. And that's exactly what happens. Knight b6, knight h5, knight a8, bishop a8, and I play the move bishop takes g6 to simplify. So it's plus 2.5. I'm simply up material. I block his light squared bishop from taking my pawn. And this might be the first game of my life that I actually managed to outplay Supi and get a win. All right? So we're about to even the score. It's about to be 2-2, maybe 2-3. I think he might have beaten me another game. So king f7, bishop f2, e5. And as you can already tell, I am going in the wrong direction. This is an endgame. In endgames, you know, every move counts. And as early as even this move, I should have correctly evaluated the fact that trading off this bishop for this knight in an attempt to simplify is not a good decision. It would have been better for me not to improve Supi's pawn structure, right? Because I'm now giving him clumps together. Isolated pawns like he has here are better for me. If I played like this and went for this exchange, it's better because bishop is always hitting this pawn, right? Rook is hitting these pawns. So I should have been patient, but I got antsy and I tried to do this. And now the problem is that not only is he getting his king in the game, his pawns are getting into the game too, and I still haven't had a chance to activate my rook. His knight is going to come to f4, right? And almost all of my advantage is already gone. I try to counterattack his center pawns. He immediately gets the rook there. And how am I going to defend this pawn? If I move this pawn, he takes this. So I'm like, okay, no problem. c3. He takes g2. He takes f3. He plays h5. And now I'm really regretting this because he has 3 passed pawns. And now I'm losing. I mean, the speed at which he turned the entire game around on me, punishing me for every inaccuracy, right? My rooks were massively pushed back. He plays knight f4, hits this. Here comes e4, and like I said, the waterfall of pawns is coming. My pawns are awful. I can't do anything. He is constantly threatening knight d3, and yeah, I mean, well, what can I say? He came forward at full speed, and there was nothing I could do to stop him. I tried to even get all the pawns on the queen side, but I was unable to do anything. Literally just walked me down on the side of the board, proceeded to put both pawns there, and I created some very minor confusion here in the time scramble, but he just took all my pieces. And even though I can actually check him and make a queen, knight d3, he decided to bring his king forward and hide it. And like I said, you know, all blitz games do kind of end with chaos. Yeah, this game ended up, I think I lost on time on move 53, but at the same time, he's also just promoting his pawn. So another game where I was feeling really good from the opening, and kind of decent in the middle game, and I was supposed to put it away, and I was just completely unable to do so. And he just punished me one inaccuracy after the other, centralizing his defense, bringing his knight, bringing his rook, taking my pawns, and the avalanche of pawns. Look at and the king too. The king coming to support the armada, and I was unable to win this game. Now, the next 3 games that you are going to watch are brutal. Brutal games. And that's what made the score so lopsided. This is a game that we played shortly after that one. I invited him to a Portuguese gambit. No pun intended. And he played a sideline. I mean, he played bishop b5, bishop back to e2. He let me take in the middle, and then I had this position with my knights in the middle of the board, and I thought I was quite happy here. And then he played knight f3. I went after him with my queen, and here, you know, what I should have done is I should have played the move bishop g4, targeting his bishop. So again, early on, decent position from the opening. He can't take because it's mate. And if he plays f3, I have the really cool move long castles when I'm threatening stuff on his queen, right? So I went bishop e6, and then here I couldn't contain myself, and I decided to play queen b4 check, all right? I went off wandering into the deep dark forest versus Supi, and he gave me a pawn. And we got to a position where I got his rook, and I got to long castle, and I thought, you know what? I actually have a pretty decent position here. All I got to do is take on a2, and then I'm defending my pawn, right? And then, you know, his bishop is pinned to his queen. Oop, this is exactly what I'm saying. But instead of that, I played bishop b4. And I'm like, aha, Supi, I got you. All right? I'm going to take on d2. I'm going to take your queen. There's nothing you can do. Your only move here is queen c2, and then I don't know, I'll move my... And then here he played queen b3. And I suddenly realized that I'm not actually threatening to win his bishop. Because the second he takes with the knight, my queen is under attack. And when I move my queen, I'm going to get mated. Because I did not respect my king's safety this game. I went into the deep dark forest against Supi, and now I have to really run away as fast as possible. And as you have seen from multiple games, it does not take Luis Paulo much of an effort to launch vicious counterplay. Here comes rook b1. I cannot take the knight because it's mate, so I try to defend myself. He attacks my queen, and he takes my pawn. And now the light squares are wide open. And the knight will ride in on the dark squares to hit the light squares. And all he does is play bishop c4, threatening this. I try to avoid it and try to go for g4. He plays h3, making sure I don't have any more nonsense on that side of the board. And here, he lends a helping hand to his horsey to get in with the move queen e3. I cannot attack him with my rooks. I don't want to trade queens with him because then he'll go here, 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 knight e5, knight c6, and I lose. So I play king b8. He rides in with the knight. He brings the queen up. Look at this. Queen gave the helping hand and now gives the helping hand to the knight to go to c6. I play rook d6, bishop b5, now solidifies the control of the light squares, and I resign the game. I mean, how quick he punished me for reaching deep into the cookie jar, right? Slapped around, all right? Like, I should have never even insulted the guy for getting into a game with him. I lose in 25 moves. This game, I have the white pieces. This time, the Trempowski leads to a damaged pawn structure position. We get kind of, you know, this interesting structure where he has the two clumps, the 4 and the 3, right? And again, I go for h4. So I'm trying to be aggressive. He's like, nope, not letting you do that. Knight b6, bishop back to d3, queen c2, king g7. So I'm trying to instigate against Supi, right? I castle long, he castles short. I want to play f3, g4, and create some attack on him. So I play e4. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. f4, g4, get this nice position. I have all my pawns coming forward, and Supi's looking at me like, are you an idiot? No, actually, I know the answer to that. You are. Plays bishop g4. Puts the bishop on the square that now neither one of my pawns can touch because I've overextended. I try to come forward with e5. He just puts the bishop over there. Now, it looks like his position is completely scattered, right? His pieces are all over the place, not really doing too much. It's -2. He understands the dynamics of this position so much better than I do. I try to play knight e4 so that after this trade, I can bring my knight to f6. He's like, okay, go ahead. Everything that I'm trying to do in this position, he lets me do. That's how you know you're dealing with a savage. Literally, my entire game plan from the move e4 was to play f4, e5, knight e4, knight f6. He lets me do every single thing in my game plan and just takes my pawn in the middle. If I take his rook with check, he just takes back. Because he understands that it's worth it. Now he laser beams my position. His bishop and knight both cover rook back to c8, so I step out of the way to make sure I don't lose my queen. He takes my pawn in the middle. He's not even down any material. My knight here is being smashed. I play queen b3 with the intention of doing this. Right? That seems like a good idea. He defends his bishop. And a couple moves later, he traps my queen. He doesn't have to pin my queen to my king. He traps my queen and I resign. 23 moves. 23 moves and I lost. He let me do everything I wanted, and it was terrible. That is the sign of a good player. One more game I would like to show you. Not on this similar theme. I played him and I played a weird Sicilian. So like you see, I like playing him in some ways. I kind of hate playing him, but I like playing him in some ways because he's just, we're always going to get interesting positions. And again, here's a position where from the opening, I was very happy. I got kind of everything I wanted. This is a very imbalanced position, and I'm playing against some weaknesses. And I play queen g4, rook g8. I'm like, okay, this is nice. I've now prevented my opponent from castling. All right, I've made his rook move, so he can't castle. His king is going to be stuck in the middle of the board, and I'm going to castle myself. And then we are going to play knight e2, rook f1. We're going to go checkmate him. And Supi's like, really? Because actually, I'm not going to castle at all. I'm going to attack you. I'm like, okay, knight e2, let me move my knight out of the way, and the avalanche continues to fall. I try to crack open the the b file here, get my knight back, make sure b2 is always protected. He's gonna put his rook on b8, and I'm gonna launch my attack. I'm gonna play rook f1, take d4, and we're gonna go for the f7 square. He plays bishop a6, developing another piece. I play g4, we trade. He plays queen a5. Very easy threat, right? He wants to take my knight, so what do I do here? I've got to play e5, counterattacking in the middle, hitting his knight, okay? He moves his knight into the middle of the board, attacking my queen. I play queen e4, and my idea here was that he will go bishop b7, I will play queen h7, and then he has to defend himself by moving his king, and then I'll play bishop takes h6 or rook here. So something like bishop b7, queen h7, king f8, rook f1, attacking on this file, or maybe bishop h6, right? Complicated position, sacrificing my rook in the corner. All of that happens. And then I realize I've miscalculated, which is common against Supi, because in this position, he can play king to the center of the board, completely abandoning this area. The rook defends the rook. It's not the king that has to defend the rook. And even though I can continue this attack, goes takes. Sorry, instead of taking back, I'm going to go queen f6. And I thought, wow, what is Supi doing? This is so terrible. He has absolutely no way in, right? I'm going to play queen takes f7. What does he do? If he defends himself, maybe I'm going to take here and then try to continue an attack on him. And in this position, he plays a move that I completely, 100% did not see at all. At all. He played the move rook takes b2. This is an incredibly cold shower, because even though I can take with check and I can get his rook, he hides his king out here. None of my pieces can get to his king, and he's just threatening mate. And if I take his rook with this, he just brings the other one. And he's a step ahead of me at all times. He takes my knight with check, and there's nothing I can do. Rook takes b2, just one punch knockout, and I resign on the spot. I've shown you like 7 or 8 games at this point, and every single one of these games, I am dead lost. Until now. The most recent game that I played against him, I was with the black pieces, and I played one of my favorite variations. This is in my G6 course. It's called the Beef Eater variation. You surround the center with wacky pawns, and white has a very frozen structure. It's very difficult to actually play this structure with white. Supi plays the most aggressive way, which is throwing another flank pawn at me. We've seen this several times in this video, and I just calmly, sidestep, and I give him the H file, but there's not really a whole lot white can do here, because black's position actually is very resilient. And then here he plays a move I've never seen before, which is the move d6. I just avoid this move, and I play queen a5. I look for the pawn on c3. He takes on e7. I take on c3, and I take on c4. So he's basically gambiting his bad structure and trying to attack me with his open lines, right? This is the idea. This is an insanely looking position. He plays rook c1, giving me the a2 pawn. So he's given me his entire queen side. And actually, this is not good. Actually, here he plays the top stockfish move, which is e4, and he's threatening the move bishop c4. He's giving me this pawn, right? But he's threatening bishop c4. So here I play an interesting move. I bring my queen back, and I get out of this pin situation because I'm going to threaten a check. I'm also going to threaten d5, so he can't take because of the pin. He plays bishop c4, I play queen e4, he plays knight e2. At this point, I am up 3 pawns. Do the math, I am up 3 pawns. I have 6 pawns, he has 3, but my rook is hanging, right? So I play the move d5. He gives me a check, I block with my bishop, he takes one of his pawns back, and I try to consolidate. If we do the math, black is simply 2 pawns up. I mean, at the end of the day, black is simply 2 pawns up. But I've been there before against Supi. So he plays bishop c6, here, and castles, and I am now 3 pawns up once again. I have 5 pawns, and he has 2, and I am going to put my knight in the middle, maybe rook h8. What is the only problem of my position? My king. My king is very weak. All right, stuck in the middle, can't really, not really sure which way I want to go. So he brings his rook back to c3, he's looking this way, and he's looking at this way to cover the h-file, and I play knight e4. This is definitely a move that I wanted to play. Supi puts his rook on the h-file to make sure I can't attack him there. I play the move f4, threatening his rook. He moves his rook back to h2, and I play g5. I thought this was very clever because his bishop and his knight are both kind of blocked now in this direction. He plays the move rook e1, right? So he's obviously looking down this way. But the problem is that move completely destabilizes this pawn, and even though he's threatening stuff on my knight, queen, and king, I play queen c5, and now I'm ready to take on f2. In this position, he has an option. He can either play rook to f1, or do what he did in the game, which is just give me another pawn. Queen f2 check, king h1, this would be mate. But I'm pinned. This would be a free bishop, but I'm pinned, and that loses a queen. So what do I do here? I'm like, the only move, according to Stockfish, for advantage now is long castles. So it's crazy he's gotten me into a position where despite me having a 4-pawn advantage, I am up 4 pawns. I only have 1 move for advantage. Do you understand how difficult it is to play this guy? I play bishop f5, my advantage is now gone if he finds knight e4, bishop e4, check. Oh, sorry, check on h5. He has to find this little sequence. Instead, he puts his queen the opposite way, and I'm able to defend myself with my king. My little king, which doesn't know where to go, is able to defend himself. But here, he has an opportunity to play rook h6, and this is very much a Supi-like move. But instead of that, he plays knight e4, bishop e4. He didn't have a lot of time. He maybe had 10, 15 seconds here, and I have too many threats. If he plays rook e4, I mate him. And he doesn't have any more threats on my king. So if he plays something like queen a6, I play check, here, check, and his king and rook are just stuck in the corner, and I win the game. And he resigned after I played bishop takes e4, which is crazy because had he gone the other way, the game would have went on. I might have lost. This might be an entirely different video. I finally won a game against Supi, a deserved game, not a stupid one where I beat him on time in a time scramble. So I have 2 wins against him, but it's really 1 out of like 14. I cannot play Supi. He is so much better than me. It is unbelievable. But playing him every single time is a lot of fun because I kind of have nothing to lose. I sort of play with with a chip on my shoulder, and or no chip on my shoulder, chip on my shoulder, no chip on my shoulder, and I just try to do my best. So for the Brazilians who do end up watching this, Supi is extremely strong. He has all of my respect, and I wanted to make a video because he just destroys me all the time, and it's hilarious. I'll see you in the next video. Get out of here.